This is Dan Farisi, editor of Sound and Communications, joined by Jack Kelly, who is CEO of Group One Ltd, a wholly owned subsidiary of Audiotonics. Thank you for joining me, Jack.
Oh, thanks for asking, Dan. Pleasure.
So obviously we're living through very strange, really unprecedented, unless we lived in 1918 times right now. So we just want to get a pulse from respected industry figures talking about how they're handling the COVID-19 crisis and any ideas they might have as far as how the commercial AV industry can pull through and even thrive, hopefully, in the aftermath of this. My first question is really specific to Group One Limited. How have mandatory business closures, I know you're based on Long Island, in New York, in the US, elsewhere, how have those mandatory closures affected you or people working from home? How have your operations been in any way affected?
Well, completely affected. And we have operations and warehousing in 3 states. We have Chatsworth, California, a recently opened Group One office, which handles all of the brands that Group One's responsible for. That's completely closed due to mandatory non-essential business closings in the state of California. We have a brand new warehouse operation on the Rock Lidditz campus in Lidditz, Pennsylvania. And that is completely closed, again, mandated by the state of Pennsylvania. And of course, as you know, the state of New York has closed non-essential businesses, I think just over a week ago. And as such, both our SSL New York City and Group One Farmingdale offices are essentially completely closed. We have to take care of the very occasional client at a single individual go into an office, pick up a box and drop it off at a UPS or a FedEx depot. But essentially we're closed and people are working from home.
So what steps are you taking at this point to ensure that clients who are depending on those Group One brands, those well-respected brands, that they're getting their products, that they're getting shipments out, that they can continue doing their work?
Well, most of our clients are in the same position we are. There's only a few exceptions where people are even able to receive goods, because of the states that are in lockdown. And that's an ever increasing number, as you probably have seen following the news. So there aren't many clients that need physical product from us at this time, which is the economic consequence of this lockdown for all of us. The support is fully operational. Our support team is, as they always are, available on the phone, ready to respond to folks, responding to folks without the need to deploy product for tours or events. The service aspect isn't as immediate as it would be in a dynamic situation. We're not getting emergency calls and emergency phone outs because nobody's actually deploying the gear right now. I think as importantly, even our sales teams across the brands are being very proactive about education. And I think that's universal across the brands in our industry. People are trying to do webinars and seminars and product presentations in an online format using Zoom. How many people knew we would use this much Zoom product, and video conferencing seems to have matured very quickly in the last couple of weeks. And so I know that we're doing specific training for a major rental company next week that is almost an online college level curriculum with, starting with basic audio fundamentals, advanced audio fundamentals, some specific to DiGiCo. In this case, it's a DiGiCo presentation, specific to DiGiCo operations. So all the teams that work inside Group One are all trying variations on that theme to educate and just as importantly, to communicate. I've encouraged everybody at Group One to reach out to our customers first on a personal basis, find out how everybody's doing, the health of their families, health of their fellow employees, health of their business. And second, to discuss anything we might be able to do for them or they will need us to do, both now and when we come out of this. And we've had suggestions for both. we, as probably all businesses are very much diving into the stimulus package to see how we and or our clients might benefit from using what the government is offering. I'm on a fairly wide national seminar or webinar this afternoon with one of the large New York accounting firms, which is a deep dive into the portion of the bill that allows us to retain employees through this crisis with government assistance. And that's our goal. And I think it's, the thing I love about our business and our industry is I think we're all built from the same cloth, more or less. And I think we'd all like to have the teams we have when we come out of this in 30 days or so. I certainly don't want to have any changes forced upon my team because of economics. We are going to endeavor to do everything we can using government assistance, using our own, if you will, our own resources to keep the Group One team together across all our brands.
So I assume that some of what you're talking about as it applies to Group One, reaching out to partners and colleagues and clients, asking about their families, talking about, how you can work together and continue to strategize with each other would apply generally. Do you have any words of wisdom for the commercial AV industry? You're a respected veteran. You've been in the industry a lot of years. You've seen a lot of different things, ups and downs economically. Any words of wisdom for your peers and your colleagues about how they can get through this and still remain strong?
Yeah, I think, the words of wisdom are probably the words that are rattling around with every business owner and business executive and not necessarily just the top level of people, but even the people on the working side, the people who move our product around. Everybody has to take this time to reflect on how they're going to get through this time. That's the immediate need. What it's going to look like on the other side, and how they're going to, sort of be as a business. How will we be as a business when these restrictions are lifted? What are we likely to face? So there has to be some thought process into, both how do I get through the next 30 days? How do I appropriately respond the 30 days after that? And what business am I really in going forward? And maybe take some of the time that's been given us to reflect, to talk to others, to not be running around, on airplanes from site to site or from trade show to trade show, to think through our business with maybe a little bit more depth than we're normally given the time to do. So I would recommend that people do that. And they do it not only to reflect on their businesses, but reflect on their own careers, their own pursuits, their own families, and just maybe this is a rebalancing time for everybody, as these things can tend to be. I suggest to everybody, and I'm certainly trying to use that time to think through our business. And, I can remember years ago, before cell phones, before computers, when I used to get on a flight to go out to LA from New York. To me, it was a gift of 5 hours of being able to think about a problem without interruption, right? We rarely get that time anymore. We just don't. I mean, I'm sitting here and I don't know if you're aware, but my phone is pinging about every 4 seconds. I'm not really that important. I don't know who those pings are. And it'd be nice to be able to step away from that and think about the things that matter with our businesses. And as I said before, our industry has a lot of smaller businesses that grow up as families together. The people who work there for decades. And I think there's a general consensus from everybody I speak to keep teams together, to use whatever resources the government provides, and to come through this as strong or stronger because we've been tested by fire, so to speak.
Absolutely. A time for reflection, a time for strategizing, and a time, frankly, for us to spend more times with our families, reacquaint ourselves with the people we're not seeing when we're going to all these trade shows. I think it is a good time. It's a time to be mindful. So I really do appreciate your time, Jack. Thanks so much for lending your insight.
No problem. Thanks, Dan.
Have a great rest of the day. And thank you once again. Dan Parisi, Sound and Communications Magazine, joined by Jack Kelly, CEO of Group One Limited. Thank you again.
Thank you, Dan.